Hey, horror fans, thanks for joining me. And, of course, Dexter the Intern here. Uh, we're here to kind of, first and foremost, to celebrate. Um, some of you are catching this via the Promote Horror YouTube channel and or social media, and some of you might be catching this via the HorrO's Gory Reviews.blogspot.com YouTube channel or social media. But here, first and foremost, to kind of celebrate um, the anniversaries of both of them, and I'll get into that in a second. Also, I kind of want to use this opportunity um, to kind of maybe recap a little bit of starting off and where I am now, and maybe going into the future. And also, if you've caught me on where the scary things are, um, part of the podcast and part of Promote Horror is part of, I've used the opportunity there to kind of, from time to time, to kind of speak on issues and whatever. And I think, to add it into the celebration is to kind of tie in a little conversation about, having a blog, having a site, and a little bit of the sacrifice and so forth going into it, and doing it for so long and continuing and trying to continue. And I've mentioned that only because I've things I've seen, people I've seen come and go along the way, and recently as well. So I kind of think it's a good chance to kind of throw that into kind of this conversation here. But if you've going back to the top, I guess we are here to celebrate for first and foremost. And 2009, August 14th, was the beginning of HorrO's Gory Reviews, and then 2011, August 14th, I kept it the same date to make it easy. This is the birth of PromoteHorror.com. So 12 years of doing reviews, 10 years of promoting horror, spreading the horror. It's been a long time. It's been a lot of work and so forth. But I've done these things via the blog. I've written usually when the anniversary comes along. I've done a couple of written things, kind of recapping and so forth, and did a little bit on Promote, not as much. But I think over the last couple of years, I haven't done it as much, because I guess once you've done it and celebrated it so many times, what else is there to say? What else is there to do? Of course, I always thank everybody, and that comes without saying. But taking it back to the beginning a little bit, to start, maybe for those of us who maybe not know the story or not know too much about me or what's going on here, I'll just add that I'm doing it by video this time, because if you've been on the review blog at least, you see that I've been doing a lot of reviews lately by video. And if you've seen any of them, I have a tendency to ramble on, and that's probably what I'll do here. So you'll have to excuse me. It's just a way of getting out the thoughts here. Anyway, taking it kind of from the top, and I'll try to make this part at least quick. But yeah, I started off, wanting, always, been a horror fan since Nightmare on Elm Street, and seeing that. I'm not sure exactly when, but obviously at a young age. And it came a time where I wanted to write horror. I just wanted to be involved in horror in some way, and wasn't really sure which way to go about it. Didn't know, do I want to screenwrite? Do I want to write a book? What do I want to do? I have a habit of starting things and not following through. I have written several things and just stopped in the middle or stopped at certain ideas. Some of you have followed closely, and I'm not going to pretend that any of you have. I did write a zombie story, and that kind of also I left hanging. Um, but it, it became, let me just start a blog where I can write reviews. And my horror at that time, or leading up to that, was primarily just, whatever horror movie was in theaters, minus, maybe a few things that came on, cable or whatever. Um, that was my horror. That was my horror world. So, um, it was like I just wanted my opinion of movies, and then to kind of find some people to kind of talk about movies with, and so forth. And that's kind of where the social media came in, and um, it's crazy because I'm not the most sociable of people. I'm kind of quiet like this guy here, and but social media has allowed me to have a voice. And if you would have told me in 2009 that I'd be here doing videos and feel comfortable doing that, I probably would have told you you're crazy. But here I am, and being on a podcast now and for a little bit more than a year or so, it's also crazy. Things I didn't never imagine. I don't even know when podcast started, but um, you know, talking so much and being so visible, it's a little bit crazy for me. Um, anyway, so wanted a place to express, thoughts and talk horror, and that's kind of where that started. And then before I know it, people started asking me, and the world of horror kind of expanded for me. Things I wasn't even aware of. The whole indie horror scene, I had no idea we ever existed. Um, People were sending me screeners for all kinds of movies, and admittedly, at first they were hard to watch. I watching all these big budget horror movies, and then seeing small budgets and new actors, and honestly, they were hard to watch. I've definitely changed my viewing and my thoughts on everything since. But at first, it was difficult, and it was a crazy world to be thrown into. And then, people were sending me press releases and wanted me to support all these things. And I just wanted to review movies, and I had no idea what I was supposed to do with all this stuff. And I didn't design the blog to do all that stuff. So, kind of as that continued, like the stupid bell, um, I was like, what can I do? Do I need a place for this? What do I do with all this? And I guess I kind of got myself so wrapped into it that Promote Horror was born. And that's about 2 years later, and kind of designed the site in a way to. And I wanted it to be a site. The first time around was a blog, and I kind of wanted this to be a little bit different and make an actual website. And I kind of designed it in a way, to what people were sending me and so forth, so I could have a place to house all that stuff and a place to spread the horror. And I started that as well, hashtag spread the horror. I thought that was, instead of spread the word, spread the horror instead, to kind of go along with that. And so I had the blog and I had the website, and off we went. And, I would say, the more Promote Horror caught on, the little bit more the blog suffered, because it was hard to do both. It's still hard to this day to do both. But I did what I could, and before I know it, everybody was wanting me to do it, and I kind of maybe got a little out of control and tried to help everybody I could and do anything I could, and um, did a couple of years of at least 1,000 posts plus on Promote Horror, not to mention reviews here and there along the way. Anybody who's housed the website or blog, you guys, a lot of this video is kind of speaking to you guys, especially what I'm going to say here in a little bit. But it's a lot of work. It's not easy. It takes time. And I've not done things perfectly along the way. Everybody just assumes that you're a computer expert because you have a blog or have a website, and that's not the case. Um, uh, I've made mistakes and maybe designed things not the way to perfection, or it could be better. There's certain things I've always wanted to do, and maybe one day I'll do them. Maybe they'll never happen. I don't know. We'll see. Um, but yeah, I've just basically done the best I could. Um, so, it came a few years in after that where I had to take a small break because of life. I think we all know that. Every once in a while, um, life will throw something at you that is unexpected and uh, kind of brings everything else to a halt and brings other things to the forefront that you can't escape. And maybe one day I'll be able to touch more on that, but for now that's pretty much that. And then uh, I thank goodness to have a place like Promote Horror and HorrO's reviews to come back to come out of that. And it was at that point I really decided, if I wanted to get out, that was the point to get out, or continue on. And I love horror, obviously, and love what I do with Promote Horror. And it's hard to give up. And I also used it for good, used it for me to kind of occupy my thoughts and get me back on track and back away from what had just happened, and kind of as an escape. And at that point, coming back, I apologize again for the bell today. It's just misbehaving. Um, but to get back on track, and when I came back, I had a friend, and they had been telling me for the longest time, you do all this for free, you should be charging. And um, I never, when I started this, I didn't intend it to charge, but I had found that it had eaten up so much of my free time, and even not free time, and so much of my time period, that I just couldn't manage to not charge for something, not charge for work. Again, it was never my intention to, but you can't do this so much and as much as I do and get nothing in return. Um, Life, you have to make money some way, or have a little money some way. Um, and that kind of at least validates, at least in some way, to continue going on, at least to other people in my world. Um, but again, it's not to be a millionaire. I wish it was. It's not really to live on. I wish it was. If I could do this period to live on, it would be wonderful. I've always said if I win the lottery tomorrow in a substantial amount to live off of, or change life or whatever, I would definitely go back to doing this for free and for fun, and definitely dish some money into supporting the horror community more than I already do. But that's just not realistic, and that's not the way life works. So here we are. Um, so yeah. 10 years later, 12 years later, and like I mentioned a little while ago, now on YouTube, doing that more. I had started obviously YouTube a long time ago and done here and there, but that kind of went away for a while. Again, it's a matter of time, and there's only so much you can do. Now it's back. Before this COVID apocalypse happened, I had wanted to do 2 different shows, one for each channel. And probably looking back, I probably should have went ahead and just did it anyway. But then, COVID, and some of you caught me. I started doing live on Twitter for a while, and did that for as long as I could. And I kind of feel bad for not going back to that. But that kind of ended once the horror world kind of got back on its feet. And then I was too busy to do that. And, somewhere along the line, then ended up doing the podcast, and I'm thankful for that. Another opportunity to share an experience with a couple of great other hosts and people and friends and people I've never met in person, just through the podcast, through Twitter. Um, but I've had their support both on the podcast and away from the podcast, and it's a fantastic thing. And also, getting to cover so many more great movies is, I cover them on Promote Horror as well, but just another outlet to do, and to talk with actors and actresses and writers and directors and all kinds of people behind the films is just another great way to do it. Um, but that's all kinds of craziness and where we are in the last 2 years or so, and it's been a ride that uh, you know open doors like that, and those are great things. And I think like I've done some things that I never thought I would do. One of the things that that kind of opened with the review site and later early on in Promote is opened my eyes to conventions and festivals which I had no idea to exist. And if you ever told me that I was going to get a chance to meet Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger himself, I would told you you're crazy. Kane Hodder and Doug Bradley and so many others. Not only meet them and get their autographs and pictures, but have shared experiences with them. I have some good memories that I hope I never forget with them, and part of that is because of the blog and the site. If I never would have started that, I probably wouldn't have had those experiences, and that would have been a shame, because those are some of the true bright spots of doing all this, was that. Um, and then later to think that Promote sponsors festivals and now is sponsoring its first convention is nuts and crazy, and sitting on a jury at a festival and being a judge and judging other films, that's something I never thought of, but here I am, and having press access to festivals and so forth. It's crazy. I don't know how there is to explain it. It's unexpected. Um, so every year that comes and goes, you kind of take a deep breath, step back, and be like, where you've come from, where you are now, and where the future is, and I'm gonna kind of talk about that and kind of tie this in, to those who have done blogs and websites and so forth. Whether you're new to starting out or have been doing this for a while like me, and I know there are plenty of others that have done this for longer than me. But like I mentioned, it does come with sacrifice, and I know that for people that just go and read the websites and read that and so forth, and read the blogs, sometimes they don't really think about what's going on behind the scenes, but part of all the fun and some of the experiences is also a lot of sacrifice and a lot of time spent and a lot of hard work, and you're creating horror in a way, maybe you're not writing a book, but you're still creating horror in a way, and being part of horror and being part of the horror community in a certain way, and that all comes with sacrifice. So I know one of the themes going on, and I've spoke about this on the podcast, is a lot of abuse that some people get, and some people get on social media. And social media is a tough place. It is. I'm going to say, overall in the 10, 12 years, been pretty blessed for the most part. I've kind of stuck to what I wanted to do and kept it within those bounds, and it's served me right, and I can't overall complain too much. I've had some incidents here or there, but largely put them aside, and you know dealt with it real quickly and moved on. And whereas I've seen a lot of other people just kind of let it get wrapped up and get wrapped up and them end up not on Twitter. I've seen a lot of good creators of horror out there on whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or whatever. I guess I could speak mostly to Twitter. I think everybody knows that's mostly where I am, or where I at least hang out with the horror community. And I've seen a lot of good people leave it, and it's sad. I've spent months now, and I went through this on the podcast. If you follow Promote Horror, and starting every day now for the last couple of months, several months now, with Love Horror, Love the Horror Community is the first, what I consider the first official tweet of the day, and kind of use that as an extra way to kind of not only remember what we're here for with Love Horror, Love the Horror Community, but then give a little extra space to find a way to support horror for the day. But it is because of that. It's because of just a reminder that that's what we're here for. And, to not get wrapped up in the bullying and the fighting and so forth. And we can disagree, like I say, we can disagree on movies. We don't have to all like the same movies or the same podcasts, the same websites. You don't have to like Promote Horror. You don't have to like the way I review movies or like my videos or whatever. That's all fine. But as long as, at the end of the day, we can, squash that and move on and still say, we're part of the horror community and move on to the next website that you like, or the next podcast episode you like, the next movie you like, the new whatever it is. And hopefully, we can agree on that. And that's fine. The world's not perfect, obviously, and we've definitely seen that over the last couple of years and the craziness that's gone on. And there's so much out there to divide us, but we're in the horror community together, and I think that if you stay there together and you keep that together, you can find a happy place, and a place that does you well and does whatever you want, whether you're a fan of horror and just taking in all of the horror, that's fine, or you're creating horror, and you can find it as a place where you can put your stuff out there and not feel embarrassed about it or feel that you're going to get bullied about it and so forth. Unfortunately, the world does have some bad people in it, and you just have to move on from them the best you can, and know that there's a whole community out there that's willing to support you. 12 years and 10 years, I've found a lot of good friends, and a lot of people that I've been with, I've followed and been a part of their tweeting and whatever they're doing on their websites or movies or whatever for a long time now. So it can happen. If you're just starting out now wondering, will I have the same friends along the way? It can happen. When I did the Twitter thing, after COVID kind of started and did that live, I was shocked the people that kind of jumped on there and jumped on there just to say hi to me and kind of see the face behind Promote Horror, because they had never seen it really before, and to kind of just thank me for supporting whatever they've been doing, whether it's on Twitter or their websites or whatever, which felt really good. And I those are the things that mean the most. I think when you get thanked for holding the door open for somebody and they say, oh, thank you, whatever. You move out of the way for somebody and they say thank you, whatever. But I think of the thank yous I get, the ones for what I've done here with Promote Horror are the ones that mean the most to me. And like I said, to me, knowing that I've helped at least one person sell a book or get funding for a movie or whatever, done a review that's made someone happy or whatever I've done and been thanked for, I appreciate that, and has made this sacrifice worth it. Um, I've sacrificed, a lot of time and money and so forth, and other things I've sacrificed, which I'm not going to get into. They're personal. They're things that I'll probably take to my grave and know that I sacrificed them and so forth. Um, but that's just personal and what I want to keep in house. I know I've sacrificed. You can tell my wife. Um, you know, every time I pick up my phone, what are you tweeting about now? What are you texting? All that time that um, I get in trouble for doing that. Put down the phone. Haven't you had enough? No, I gotta tweet the next thing. I gotta Facebook the next thing. The next promotion's gotta go. Um, she's been very patient. I think there's many people that be out there as patient with me and doing that as I could. Um, those are just some of the things. But it does hurt on the other side of it. It does hurt. Like I say, that I know some people have done doing it a long time that have stopped for because they couldn't sacrifice what they've been sacrificing. Whatever it is that they sacrificed to do it, they had to stop and put other things first, and that's fine. I mean, I think there's those of us who truly involved with horror, and that's how they make their money, and that's their living, and they're truly immersed in it. They're actors, directors, and so forth. I think those are the true lucky ones because they're making the true living and truly being in horror. And I think some of the other ones of us that are out here, blogging and podcasting and I mean, even maybe doing art is a hard thing to live off of, and maybe there are other realms of horror that people try to live off of, but at the end of the day, it's hard really to sacrifice and do that full time. Um, I give all respect to those people that had to jump off and go back to whatever they're sacrificing, and in hopes that they'll come back one day. And I know, a couple of people who have took the time off, did what they need to do, and kind of came back. And props to them for coming back, and we're glad to have you back. And I saw someone recently who I followed and for a long time now, and kind of say that they're a little bit disappointed in the number of views they're getting and all the time and work they put in. And I know it can be a hard thing. You put in a lot of time, and again, the sacrifice. There's no one else who knows the sacrifice, and if you don't see returns on that sacrifice, I know that can be painful and that can hurt, and that kind of flips the table, and you kind of want to put this first and above all the sacrifice, but when you see nothing back, that sacrifice just starts to grow and starts to seep back in, and it becomes all that even more important, because what is it you're truly getting in the end? And if you're having 3 people view your thing, or 20 people, or your expectations are thousands and you're getting hundreds, that can be a problem. It can get into your mindset. And I know there's some people that have followed me recently on Twitter, and they're anxious to get Twitter followers, and I preach everybody with patience to that. I mean, there's I guess the really easy way of doing it, and following everybody in the blue sky, and hoping that they follow you in return. And then there's the other way of earning it, and I think when you follow everybody in the blue sky, that's an easy way to find yourself in trouble, because you find yourself with people who are not in the horror community and maybe not understanding what you are tweeting, and if they catch on to you, then that's when you can get in trouble. That's just a free tip out there and a suggestion. I've had a Twitter account open for this guy here for several months now, and I'll admit that the getting followers for him is not easy, and he's done his part in his role in supporting Promote Horror, and I've kind of used it to be as another source of where to tweet and put in, even more information out, because there's only so much I can tweet on Promote Horror, and getting followers for him has been hard enough. So I'm with you on that journey and seeing that happen and the struggle there. But, like I said, be patient. It will come. And again, I know you're probably sacrificing something too. That's okay. Um, you know, you just have to manage that sacrifice with what you're doing as long as you can, the best you can. Some people strike it really lucky and blow up and do things right, and um, can do everything perfect, and others have to work at it, and 10 and 12 years later, I tell you, I promise you, I'm still working at it. I promise you, I make plenty of errors. There are things I wish I did differently. Um, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, monthly, and so forth. It's not perfect at all, and things don't always work out. And um, there are moments, even though I've done this as long as I can and have, and that I wish I've had even bigger impact than I have, and it does hit me as well. But you just kind of have to put those days beside you and just do what you do. And I think if you do what you do and you love doing it, and you just do it as long as you can, I think it'll work out. And I think those of us who are meant to be here for whatever time it is are going to be here for whatever time it is. And then those of us who are meant to move on are going to move on, and that's it. Just like some movies work and some movies don't, some books work, some don't. It's just the way it is. And kind of leads me all the way to kind of where I am. Where are you, HorrO? Besides sitting next to Dexter, rambling on like I told you I would. And if you've bared with me for 30 minutes or so now, God bless you. The horror gods, thank you. And I thank you as well. Where am I? Well, I'm still here with the stupid bell, and again, I apologize for that. But it's tough. The sacrifices, I will admit, are getting harder and harder to hold off. And I would expect some changes, hopefully, or probably in the near future. Just because. Some of them just because, and others that we hope for. And, powers greater than me are the only ones that really know what will happen. But at the end of the day, I've put a lot of work and sacrifice into it, and I will certainly hope to hold on to this as long as possible. And with whatever changes do come and so forth in the coming time. We'll adjust and up or down, or for the greater or for the lesser, I don't know. But we'll see. I've made it through some ups and downs and continued on so far, and we'll see. But I certainly can probably getting closer to relating to a lot of those people that have been like, the sacrifice is too much, I gotta go. And it's purely that. It has nothing to do with being bullied off the stage and so forth. I love the horror community. As I just told you, I tweet it every morning now for a while now. And regardless of what happens, I hope to hold a place there in one way or the other. No matter what. And whether it's being as involved as I am now, or back to almost fan status, that's fine as well. It is what it is, and everybody has life, and you have to deal with life, and that's part of it. But yeah, I even Dexter here, I brought him in, and he's helped, and he's fun on the podcast, and when I first brought him in, I kind of had some plans, and I guess COVID has kind of squashed some of those plans, and wanting to, take him here and there and be more outgoing with him. But, I've kind of been on a lockdown here in apocalypse times. It's been hard to do that, so I've made the best of him here. while I can, and with what I can do. But yeah, it is, I guess more and more real every day. Made it 10 years, made it 12 years. How far into 13, how far into 11 will we make it? We'll see. Will we make it then to 12? Will we make it then to 14 and 15 and on and on? It would be my pleasure to continue on as long as possible, but we'll see. I as much as I'm celebrating, I'm also realizing that this it's been a long time, and it can't go on forever. I do have ideas on certain things that I can change. I know some people have expressed ways I can change the website and its looks and its appearance and the way I do certain things, and that's fine. I take that criticism, and as I said earlier, I don't do everything perfect, and I do have ideas and ways I want to change, and I'm kind of waiting on certain things to happen to kind of make that change. And I do have certain ideas of ways I can change Promote Horror and hopefully keep it going if per se I can't be as attentive to it as possible. I do have ways. There are backup plans, there are backup ideas. So we'll see. We'll see what the future holds for horror fans. But like I said, I've managed to ramble on like I promised you I would, and if you've caught any of my reviews, I do. Hopefully this has made sense to you somewhere along the line. I know some people think that I'm kind of depressing here to listen to, and then that's fine as well. There's some horror that's out there that is depressing, good or bad. Take that for whatever you want. But it's just, like I said, it's just the way I am and communicate and kind of getting over that anxiety and so forth. It's, I can't come on here and be the big personality. That's just not me. I can only be who I am as much as I try to be different or whatever. I am who I am, and that's it. And I think that's another thing that's great about the horror community is that everybody tries to accept everybody who they are. And we are a unique group of people, so not everybody accepts us watching these movies and so forth, and which is why it's even more important that we all get along and we all respect each other and respect even our differences within the community to make it better. And so with that, I know you guys are tired of me rambling and tired of this bell going off. I'll sum it up by just, or kind of conclude here by thanking everybody. I thank you, horror community. I thank anybody who's listened to this video. I thank you. But I thank you on Twitter. I thank everybody on Facebook, Instagram, here on YouTube, on the podcast. I've had some great supporters of the podcast as well. I don't want to single anybody out because then I feel like I'm missing people. And like being at this so long, it's hard to get everybody. So I just broadly say what I typically say is if you've spent 1 minute to 1 second of time anywhere along the way, if you've read one review or one line or one word, one click for Promote Horror anywhere along the line when it was housed at Blogspot or now elsewhere. If you've clicked one time, you read one article, if you've helped support a promotion, if you've come to me repeatedly for promotions, if we've promoted you one time or many times, or if we've done press releases for you, I thank all you press outlets who have sent me releases and let Promote Horror be part of spreading the horror or spreading the word for your clients and so forth, and keeping us in touch of what's going on. Certainly couldn't have done it without you guys either. Anybody who's viewed a minute of a YouTube video or clip, and anybody who's helped along the lines, anybody who's done a retweet, a like, all the great people on Instagram there's so many great SFX artists on there who have shared their work on there and have made Promote Horror on Instagram a slot for that. Um, I know I did the contest for a couple of years and wanted to do that more, and COVID kind of destroyed that. And as much as I want to bring that back and promise to bring that back, I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll see. I've always wanted to do more for you guys because you guys are awesome at what you guys do, and I love it. Um, but thank you for letting me see all your work there. I thank everybody who shared their work with me. You guys are amazing. Artwork, shared, whatever your films. You know, I can't say that I've liked everything. I'm gonna be very honest. I haven't liked everything that's been shared with me, whether it's films, movies, you know, whatever, podcasts, YouTube videos, and whatever. Admittedly, I have not liked it all, but I still thank you for thinking of me and sharing it with me, and so forth. And I hope I was fair and honest with whatever. And if I've missed you along the way, I apologize for that as well. Sometimes I know people have gotten lost along the way, and sometimes I try to be as organized as possible and keep up with everybody, but that's hard as well. I know people have been, passed by, and I apologize for that. But yeah, just to thank you from the bottom of my heart. If he had a heart behind there, he would thank you as well. But yeah, I guess there's not much more I can do but thank you. And when you guys thank me, it really is appreciative. I really don't think that you're thanking me and it's just, going in one ear and out the other. I'm really, really appreciative of it. Especially the times when I don't ask for it. And I never really asked for it. But it is good to be thanked and every once in a while. So for those of out there that are just fans, and if you have a podcast that you really like, or a website you really like, or whatever horror outlet that is that you really like, take a minute and thank whoever it is that is bringing you that. Like I said, like I rambled on here for what seems hours and hours now. There's some sacrifice behind that in some way. And I'm hoping that they're doing it also for the love of horror, but that thank you can be appreciative. That thank you can get them to the next day, to the next minute, to their next podcast, to their next blog, to whatever it is that they're doing. It can mean a lot to them, and it means a lot to me. So yeah, 40 plus minutes now in. I guess that'll be the end of it. Hopefully I've covered everything I wanted to cover, but if not, again, I guess down below I'll include all of Promote Horror and HorrO's information, Facebook, Twitter, Instagrams, and all that. Feel free to reach out to me there, and hopefully, this hasn't been only a celebration moment, but hopefully a moment where I've gotten to speak to you guys and kind of hit some chords, and if it helps at least one person, like I said, if it's helped at least one person with whatever I've rambled on here for 40 something minutes now, it's worth it, and it's worth it to me. And for you that have watched this and it's not worth your 40 minutes, I apologize, but it is what it is. So on behalf of PromoteHorror.com, HorrO's Reviews.blogspot.com, Dexter, who rambles so much when you guys can't see, and myself, and that's it. Thank you for the 12 years. Thank you for the 10 years. Hopefully there'll be more, but we'll see. And just as I always say, love the horror, love the horror community, and spread the horror.